All right, we're going to take a deep dive on Crawford, and I thought Crawford versus Gamboa would be a good place to start. This is round one.
Here we go, round one. 135-pound championship of the world.
So right here, check out how Crawford's head is towards his lead foot while Gamboa's head is near his rear foot. Terence is going to go ahead and snap off that jab. Gamboa looks to counter with his lead.
First jab.
Okay, so this is neat. They're both square, heads over their lead foot. Now, Gamboa's going to initiate with looking for his lead to the body, but let's hone in on Crawford. He's going to keep his weight on that lead foot, and he's going to look to down parry right here. Then he's going to counter out with his jab, and then he's going to double it up as Gamboa pushes off this lead foot to escape. Then Gamboa is going to fold out that jab.
Like Crawford.
Now, boy, I like this idea from Gamboa. Crawford's going to look to get Gamboa back with his lead to the body. And we just saw how Crawford defended it. He kept his weight on his lead foot. He did a rear hand down parry, and then he countered out with his lead. Now, check out how Gamboa handles it. He's going to use his lead hand down parry right here, and then he's going to roll out his jab on top. Think speed bag. Now, that was super slick. So right here now, Gamboa's going to get to this lead foot. He's going to throw his leaping throwaway hook and then follow up with a rear hand to the body. And then we have some movement.
We got the word that the attendance is 10,943, so they turned out en masse in this arena to see him.
All right, we have Gamboa with his lead hand extended. He's going to look for his lead to the body. But again, let's focus in on Terence. Note the square shoulders. And as soon as that jab to the body comes, he's going to look to time Gamboa with this counter jab. Then they'll go ahead and get moving again.
That's about 1,000 more than saw Joe Frazier.
So Gamboa will jab as Terence moves into his lead foot right here. Now, Terence is going to go ahead and drop, come back with this rear cross, and then we're going to see Gamboa drop right here. And then I love this. Check out how Gamboa keeps this rear hand high.
Right front standard.
Right front standard.
For the heavyweight championship of the world some 42 years ago.
Okay, Gamboa's weight's on his rear foot. He's going to throw that jab to the body. And again, Terence will have his rear hand down parry ready. And then we're going to see a couple feints on both sides. We're going to see it from Terence and Gamboa.
Crawford, of course, in the black trunks. Cuban fighter Yuriorkis Gamboa living in Miami, wearing the colors of the Cuban flag.
Now, this is cool. On the first beat, Gamboa's going to push off his rear foot and throw a lead hook, while Terence is posted over his lead foot, and he's going to time him coming in with this lead uppercut. Now, right here, Terence gets stuck on his lead foot for the second beat. And a quick note, you tend to get stuck on your lead foot if you connect with your opponent when throwing that lead uppercut. So Gamboa on the second beat is going to follow up with a rear cross. Now Gamboa has an extended lead hand right here. He's going to fold out a jab. Then he's going to extend out that lead hand one more time and fold out another jab.
Crawford's jab is caught Gamboa off balance as Gamboa was getting ready to load up a shot.
All right, similar setup as before. Crawford's posted over his lead foot. Gamboa's going to initiate with this lead hook, but this time Crawford's going to choose a counter jab. Then we'll get some movement.
Gamboa is showing already that he knows he's going to have.
So Gamboa's going to get to this lead foot and throw out a jab as Crawford pulls. And one thing to mention, notice how Terence pulls square and not bladed. We'll see if that's something that he potentially does as we break down this fight.
To take some chances that he's just not going to be able to out.
Okay, check out Gamboa's rear hand. He's ready to interact with Terence's lead hand. Now, we're going to see Terence jab, and we're going to see Gamboa catch it with his rear hand, and then look to counter with his lead. Then he's going to look for the same thing right here, and then Crawford's going to jab. And check out this rear hand parry by Gamboa. Then Gamboa is going to go ahead and fold out a jab right there.
Box Crawford from outside.
Now Crawford and Gamboa are posted up over their lead foot. Crawford's going to go ahead and jab. I want to see Gamboa pull right here. Then Gamboa's going to look high with his jab and then go to the body. And check out this rear hand down parry by Crawford.
Outside, this is the kitchen for.
Okay, Gamboa's going to get to this lead foot, throw a throwaway leaping hook, following up with a rear cross to the body as Crawford looks for his lead counter. Crawford will pendulum back into range, and then we'll have some feints.
Terence Crawford, he can stay out here all night and outbox him with that height and reach advantage.
And he's plenty content doing so. He spoke about that during.
All right, we have Gamboa showing high. He's going to push off this rear foot and go to the body. And check out this rear hand down parry by Crawford. Then he's going to go ahead and look to counter out with his jab. Then we have a little bit of movement.
In the week, if I need to make sure I use my reach, my jab, and take advantage of my size.
So this is interesting. Gamboa's going to leap off this lead foot, throw in his leaping hook, follow up, and catch Crawford with a rear cross, then throw another lead hook. But what I want to hone in on is Crawford and what he was attempting on this first beat. Right here, I believe he was looking for his rear overhand. Now, it doesn't pay off, and then we're going to see Gamboa catch him with that rear cross, and then throw another lead hook. Then back to moving, and we're going to go ahead and see some feints from both sides.
And I'm perfectly comfortable fighting around the outside.
But Gamboa's quick-handedness is evident from here. You know, sometimes when a fighter...
Okay, we're going to see Crawford feint his lead, and Gamboa's looking to catch and also move to this lead foot. Now, what's neat is Crawford now is going to go ahead and attack Gamboa on that lead foot. We're going to see Gamboa pull right here, and then he's going to drop in case the rear cross from Crawford should come. Then they're going to move and reset.
Like Crawford is usually the fastest guy in the ring. Quick.
Now Gamboa is showing high, and then he's going to go low, and we're going to see Terence pull right here and check out the square shoulders. And then we're going to see some more feints.
This guy, and he comes up against somebody as quick as him, maybe quicker.
All right, I like this from Gamboa. We've been seeing him use his lead hand high and then use that lead hand to go to the body. But this time, he's going to go ahead and push off this rear foot, keeping this lead hand high. And once this lead foot lands, he's going to throw his rear cross to the body as Terence looks for his lead hand counter. Then Crawford's going to go ahead and pendulum back into range, some feints, and again, more movement.
It changes the equation.
Two minutes gone in round one.
So Crawford's head's over his lead foot, his shoulders are square. He's going to feint this first jab and then commit on the second as Gamboa shifts his head over his lead foot. Now, check this out. Gamboa's going to go ahead and feint this jab, and notice Crawford's counter right here. He was looking for his overhand right. I like that idea from Crawford.
Much has landed. Not much difference between the two fighters.
Okay, Crawford and Gamboa are square. Heads are over their lead foot. Gamboa's going to look to go to the body as Crawford looks for his lead counter.
So far.
Now again, Crawford and Gamboa are square. Heads are over their lead foot. Crawford's going to look to get him back. He's going to go ahead and feint high, then go to the body. Little pendulum step by Crawford.
If I had to guess, I'd say that Crawford has landed more blows than has Gamboa.
All right, Gamboa's going to change it up again. He has this lead hand high. Now, it looks like Crawford's going to be looking for his overhand right in the sequence, but Gamboa's going to beat him on that first beat with a rear straight to the body. And then Crawford's going to go ahead and pendulum back into range.
But as Larry said,
so Gamboa's going to leap off this lead foot, flash his lead hand, and then come with a rear cross to the body. And then we're going to see more moving and more feints.
I expect soon he's going to have to take some risks because he's not going to be able to box this guy.
Okay, Crawford will jab as Gamboa drops. While he's looking for that lead to the body, Terence is going to follow up with a rear cross as Gamboa pulls. Then they're going to go ahead and move and reset.
Like this from this position all night. And Christina, who spent some time with Terence this week.
Now Gamboa is going to push off this rear foot, looking for his jab to the body as Crawford pulls. And again, note Crawford pulls back square. It could be Crawford likes to pull back square so he could use this lead hand counter. We'll see as we get deeper into this fight. So Crawford's going to go ahead and jab as Gamboa pulls. Then we're going to see him drop. And then Crawford's going to attack again, and we're going to see Gamboa move to his lead foot. Then weave to his rear foot as Crawford looks for that hook.
In spite of the crowd and the reaction that Crawford has, he's perfectly comfortable in doing exactly what he.
All right, Gamboa's going to feint high, then commit to the body, and check out Crawford's rear hand down parry. And what's so interesting is we're going to see Crawford look to get him back. He's going to go ahead and feint high, then commit to the body. And check out how Gamboa looks to defend it. He chose a lead hand down parry instead of a rear hand down parry. Then we're going to get some more feints and, of course, more movement.
Good hard jab by Crawford.
Almost buckled the legs of Gamboa.
I think Gamboa got a little surprised by the pop in that hand.
So Gamboa's going to get his weight to his rear foot, push off that rear foot, and then shoot the jab to the body and connect. Now, Crawford's looking for his rear hand counter. Then he's going to leap off this lead foot for a leaping hook. Then we'll see some more movement.
All week long, such a calm demeanor. And I don't think this crowd will get to him in that sense. I think he'll be very under control all night long.
Okay, Crawford will jab as Gamboa pulls. Then Gamboa is going to go ahead and drop as Crawford looks for his rear hand. Now, Gamboa is going to push off this rear foot, looking for his hook, rear cross. And then that will do it for round one.
Exactly what he needs to do.
Good right hand on the inside.
All right, let's get into round two of Crawford versus Gamboa.
Rodriguez. And here we go with round number two.
Okay, this is pretty neat. Crawford's head is over his lead foot. He's going to swing his rear foot around, then snap off a jab. Now, Gamboa is going to do a lead hand drop parry right here. And in round one, we saw Gamboa do that lead hand drop parry when Crawford went to the body. Now we see him do it when he jabs to the head. And one more thing to point out, check out how Gamboa keeps his rear hand ready to catch. Just super slick.
See if anything changes. There's the jab.
Boy, I like this. So in round one, I mentioned Crawford likes to pull square or pull his lead shoulder back. So let's set this up. Gamboa's going to push off his rear foot, snapping off his jab. But let's hone in on Crawford. All in one motion, he'll pull his lead shoulder, step this rear foot back, pointing his toes at Gamboa right here. Note the square shoulders, the rear toes. Now he's going to push off this rear foot, looking for his overhand as Gamboa pulls, then drops. Love it.
Immediately in the face of Gamboa.
Now Gamboa's going to push off his rear foot, throw his lead to the body. Then he's going to go ahead and get back to this lead foot, do a rear foot step up, throw a lead hook, and we're going to see Crawford pull square. Then we're going to have some movement. All right, this is neat. Check out how they transition. Crawford's weight is on his rear foot while Gamboa's weight is on his lead foot. Now they switched. Now Crawford's going to go ahead and feint a jab as Gamboa pulls. Then he's going to come back with this rear cross. Then we'll get some movement and reset.
Gamboa to the left of your screen. That's Terence to the right.
Okay, Gamboa's head's over his lead foot. He's sitting in that high guard. Crawford's going to push off this rear foot and throw his jab. Now note his head's still over his lead foot. He's going to follow up with a hook. Then he's going to fold out this jab as Gamboa looks for that rear hand parry. So So I like this. Crawford's going to feint his jab, but let's hone in on Gamboa. He's going to pull square right here. Now, Gamboa's lead is loaded. He's going to throw his lead cross and then follow up with a rear cross to the body. Then we'll have some feints.
Trim on the trunks of Yuriorkis Gamboa from Cuba.
Now Crawford's going to jab, and we're going to see Gamboa slip his head in over his lead foot. Then I'll pull from this hook. Then he's going to drop right here. And then we're going to see some feints.
A lot of the questions early was how...
All right, Crawford got to his lead foot. He'll jab as Gamboa parries. Then he's going to drop. Then he's going to go ahead and pull from this rear cross from Crawford. Little pendulum from Crawford. Then some movement.
If Gamboa was going to have any ring rust, you know, it's been a year since he's been in the ring and only twice in the last 2 years, so...
Okay, Crawford will jab as Gamboa parries. Crawford's going to double it up, and we're going to see Gamboa travel from his rear foot to his lead foot. Then we're going to see that one more time. Crawford's going to triple it up as Gamboa travels from his lead foot to his rear foot. Then we get a tie-up. We're going to reset. See some feints.
Not too much of that showing early, Colonel. I think he's looking okay out there, but that was a big question that a lot of fight fans had coming into this match was if it was going to show a little rust.
It's early to note, you know, but...
Boy, I have to say, I love how Gamboa mixes up his lead hand and rear hand parry. So here, Crawford's going to jab as Gamboa redirects with his lead hand. And again, note how Gamboa keeps his rear hand high. Just love it.
Veteran fighter, spends a lot of time in the gym.
So Gamboa's going to swing this rear foot around, and as soon as he plants, he's going to throw this lead to the body. But let's focus in on Crawford. He's setting up that square pull. So in one motion, he's going to pull his lead shoulder, step his rear foot back, pointing his toes at Gamboa while throwing his overhand. Both ideas were great.
Maybe not so much.
Gosh, I love this fight. So Crawford's going to feint his lead. Now, on the next beat, Crawford's going to commit his lead as Gamboa slips in, moving his head over his lead foot while bringing his rear hand over with him. Now, again, what I think is so cool, Crawford sensed the trap. He's going to push off this lead foot, pull to his rear foot. Then we're going to get some movement and some feints.
But at this distance, Crawford can...
Now Gamboa flashes lead hand high, push off this rear foot for a rear cross to the body as Crawford pulls square, which means his lead hand is loaded to throw a check hook. And we're going to see Gamboa push off this lead foot to his rear foot. And something to chew on, Gamboa's going to pull back square, not bladed, to minimize that danger of Crawford's hook. Note the weight's on his rear foot. Now, Gamboa's going to get to this lead foot, throw his leaping cross as Crawford pulls square again, and then catch Crawford with this rear cross to the body as Crawford looks for his lead counter. Then we'll get some more movement and some feints.
Not box him all night like this. Gamboa is trying to take some shots to come on the inside.
He's trying to use some smart aggression. Go in and out, use his quickness.
All right, Crawford got to his lead foot. He's going to throw his leaping jab as Gamboa looks to time him to the body. Now, this is slick. Gamboa stayed on that lead foot. He's going to pop up with this little lead hook, catching Crawford as he pulls. And again, watch Gamboa and Crawford flow between their lead foot and rear foot. Just fun to see.
It's a light left hook upstairs that time. Does Gamboa.
Okay, Crawford's going to snap off a jab, but let's zero in on Gamboa. His head's over his rear foot. Now, once that jab comes, he's going to look to move to his lead foot. And then check out how Gamboa is going to use his rear hand to control Crawford. Crawford's going to go ahead and snap off his jab as he completes that pivot. And here's another fun one. Crawford's going to throw his jab rear cross, but Gamboa is going to time him with a jab to the body right here. Just slick. So Gamboa's head's over his lead foot, his shoulders are square. He's going to push off this rear foot, throw a jab to the body as Crawford looks for his rear parry, and then counter lead. Then we'll get some movement.
Gamboa as a featherweight, nothing short of sensational.
Now Gamboa is on his rear foot. Crawford's going to snap off his jab. And we're going to see Gamboa shift his weight to his lead foot. Then we're going to see that same pattern again. Crawford's going to feint. Gamboa's going to go from his rear foot to his lead foot. And one thing to check out how Gamboa has his lead hand ready to parry.
Now going from 126 to 135, big difference, especially.
All right, so this is interesting. We have Gamboa, lead hand extended, shoulders bladed, head is between his lead foot and rear foot. Crawford will jab, and we'll see Gamboa pull. Now, since Gamboa's head is between his lead foot and rear foot, he has less of a pull available to him versus if he had his shoulders square, head over that lead foot. So here's that jab. There's the pull. Gamboa is going to use his lead and go to Crawford's body. Then in the very next beat, Crawford will look for that rear straight.
With the height difference that Crawford has, but Gamboa.
Okay, so Gamboa's going to get this lead foot, throws leaping hook as Crawford pulls square, looking for his lead counter. Gamboa pulls, he's going to throw his rear cross, and we're going to see Crawford pull. Then we get a little bit of movement.
Has been fighting taller guys almost his whole career, so he should know how to handle it.
So we have Gamboa in his high guard. Crawford's going to push off this rear foot, throwing his lead hook as Gamboa pulls. Then he's going to drop in case a rear cross should happen to come from Crawford.
But Crawford is not just an average lightweight. He's a light.
Now Crawford will fold out his jab as Gamboa stays in his high guard.
Weight champion with a lot of skills.
And a big lightweight.
All right, now Gamboa will get out of that high guard by throwing his lead to the body. But let's hone in on Crawford. Check out how he rotates his hips to the left into this shot, deflecting it with his rear elbow. Okay, so Gamboa is going to push off this rear foot, step with his lead, and note the lead hand high. Once he lands, he's going to throw his rear overhand, then leaping hook. Then we'll get some more movement.
His team speaking.
So this time, same pattern from Gamboa, but Crawford decides to interact. Crawford's going to look to parry Gamboa's lead. Then he's going to look for his lead counter as that cross comes. Then he'll throw his rear uppercut to the body as Gamboa looks for his hook. Then we get one more from Crawford with his lead and Gamboa with his rear. Then we're going to go ahead and reset.
Somewhat candidly, but it was a little tough for him making 135 this time around, Colonel.
Yeah.
Now Crawford's going to double feint with his lead, then rear cross as Gamboa decides to not engage.
I talked that Bob Arum talked about him wanting to go, or at least.
All right, Gamboa's going to go to the body, but Crawford's going to complete a rear parry, then counter with his lead hook, then rear hook. Crawford's going to feint his lead, and then he's going to pull as Gamboa tries to time him with this overhand. Crawford's going to look for his check hook, then rear uppercut. Then we'll have a tie-up. And a warning. Break. Reset.
The promoter wanting him to go to 140. But all of that's academic right now. And a little rough on the inside there. And Gino says no. Gamboa gives him the bow.
Okay, Gamboa's going to throw his leaping hook, rear cross, lead hook, as Crawford catches the first one on his lead foot, the cross on his rear foot, and then that final hook on his lead foot. Then We get some movement.
Shot landed by Gamboa.
So Crawford throws rear straight as Gamboa slips to that lead foot using his lead parry. Note the pivot and the rear hook from Crawford. And that will do it for round 2. All right, let's get into round 3 of Crawford versus Gamboa. It's been pretty neat to see the game plans they're both trying to employ.
Championship of the world, WBO version on the line. Both of these guys 23-0. Both have 16.
So Crawford's in his high guard. Gamboa's going to fold out this jab. Now, one thing to note, Gamboa's head's over his lead foot. So when Crawford counters with his rear straight, Gamboa has somewhere to pull to. Now he's going to immediately bob down, getting under Crawford's lead. Now this looks minor, but it's technical. Since Gamboa bobbed down over that lead foot, all his weight is there, which gives him the ability to step this rear foot forward. It also helps to be stepping on Crawford's foot. He's going to pivot, throw this overhand, just high-level stuff.
Knockouts. Gamboa.
Okay, Gamboa's going to do a little pendulum step. Now, once he lands, he's going to push off this rear foot with his lead hook catching Crawford. Now, what I want to hone in is on Crawford. Notice how he pulled square, which gives him access to this check hook. Then we'll have a tie-up and a break. They'll go ahead and reset. See some feints and some movement.
Looks like he's going to put the pedal to the pedal in this round.
I think he came out of the last round feeling good about himself, that maybe he found the formula to deal with the upright Crawford and all of his advantages.
Now Crawford got to this lead foot. He's going to snap off his jab as Gamboa pulls. Now Crawford's going to feint his lead. He's going to come around with this lead hook. I'm going to see Gamboa pull a second time. Now he's going to go ahead and drop in case this rear cross from Crawford comes. Gamboa's going to flash his lead, push off this rear foot, throwing a rear cross to the body as Crawford pulls square. So Gamboa will get to this lead foot, he'll pendulum, and as soon as this rear foot lands, he'll push off with a lead hook, and we're going to see Crawford move to his lead foot. Gamboa looks to tie up. Crawford will drop his elbow, and then he's going to go ahead and take an overhook with his lead right here. Then we're going to have a break, some feints, pendulum by Crawford, another one.
Gamboa seems very strong. Pushing badly, doesn't give any ground.
So Crawford will feint his lead, then commit, and Gamboa is going to time him going to the body. Now right here, Gamboa needs to get out of dodge. Note, his head is towards his lead foot. Crawford's going to throw his rear cross, and we're going to see Gamboa push off this lead foot to his rear foot. Love it.
Terence loads up the right.
Okay, Gamboa's lead hand is high. He'll do a rear foot step up right here. Now he's going to go ahead and push off this rear foot, flash this lead, and as soon as this lead foot lands, he's going to throw a rear cross to the body as Crawford pulls square. Now this is slick by Gamboa. Crawford gets back to this lead foot. Gamboa's going to throw a leaping hook, but let's hone in on Crawford. He's going to roll with it, catching it on his lead foot. Then Gamboa's going to follow up with a rear cross, and Crawford is going to roll with it and catch it on his rear foot. Now, Crawford on the third beat is looking to counter with a rear uppercut, but Gamboa transitions quicker with this short hook. Super slick. In fact, I think we'll get a little smile from Crawford right here.
You saw what happened, whistling past the ear.
It is.
Now Gamboa fold out a jab and another one. Now he's going to push off this rear foot, throw a rear cross as Crawford looks for his lead parry. Little pendulum by Crawford and a hook by Gamboa.
Example, Colonel, that I was talking about earlier, that when fighters suddenly need somebody who might be a little...
All right, Crawford's going to snap off a jab. We're going to see Gamboa use his rear and lead parry. Then Crawford's going to double it up, and we're going to see a rear parry by Gamboa. Now Gamboa's going to flash his lead, push off this rear foot for a rear cross to the body. And again, we're going to see Crawford pull square, loading this lead hook right here. And we're going to see Gamboa weave to his rear foot and then pendulum off this rear foot to get away from Crawford's rear cross.
Quicker than him, or as quick, suddenly...
So Gamboa's going to swing his rear foot around and throw a leaping hook as Crawford looks to time him with this overhand. Gamboa follows up with a rear cross. And then he's going to go ahead and snap out a jab as Crawford pulls. And something to chew on, notice Crawford's pulling to his left into a southpaw stance. Gamboa's going to double it up and Crawford looks for his check hook. We'll have a tie-up in the open stance. And we see Crawford showing southpaw. There's the break.
The picture changes. Good right hand on the inside, but didn't hurt Gamboa.
Gamboa landed some flush shots in there too.
Okay, so Gamboa flashes lead, throws rear cross as Crawford pulls square to throw this check hook. And we're going to see Gamboa bob down over that lead foot. Crawford's going to look for his rear cross. Then we're going to have a tie-up. A break. Back to that open stance.
Crawford elects to go for a southpaw for a couple of seconds, and he gets whacked.
Yep. Gamboa is beating him to the punch.
Literally.
Now Crawford will throw his jab rear cross as Gamboa pulls, then drops. Now, one thing to note, since Gamboa's weight is on his rear foot, it allows him to step with this lead foot. All right, Gamboa's going to flash his lead, throw his rear cross as Crawford pulls square, looking for this check hook. Then the ref gets in the way.
Gamboa lands a...
So here's a new wrinkle from Crawford and Gamboa. Gamboa's going to throw his rear cross, and this time Crawford's going to pull bladed, come back with his rear hook, then lead. But let's go ahead and hone in on Gamboa. He's stepping through with his rear foot to throw another rear cross. Then Gamboa looks to tie up, and Crawford says no.
Light right and then a decent left hand. And this left-handed style, to me, is not working for Terence right now.
Okay, so Crawford jabs as Gamboa drops, and then Gamboa's going to shift his head over his lead foot as Crawford throws this rear straight. Now, something to chew on, since his weight is over his lead foot, Gamboa can step this lead foot forward.
Cheekbone.
Now, we've seen Gamboa flash his lead before throwing his rear cross. Well, this time, he just throws that rear cross naked.
He's a little bit puffy on the face again.
All right, Gamboa load this lead foot, throwing his leaping hook as Crawford gets stuck on his lead foot. Then we'll see a little pendulum by Crawford. They'll reset and more movement.
Gamboa so far. Decent left hand landed by Gamboa. I think Terence is better defense.
So Crawford will jab as Gamboa pulls, then drops. Some more movement.
When he fights right-handed.
Okay, Crawford will get to his lead foot, fold out his rear straight as Gamboa pulls. Now Gamboa flash that jab, throw a rear hook as Crawford pulls square. Crawford's going to move to his rear foot, then lead foot, then rear foot, and Gamboa is going to follow him back with this rear cross.
Gamboa having a really good round. Landed it.
All right, Crawford will jab as Gamboa drops. Again, moving that head to his lead foot so we can step that rear foot up. Then we're going to see some feints.
Solid punch there.
So Crawford will jab, but let's hone in on Gamboa. His head's over that lead foot. He's going to pull. And then we're going to see that same thing a second time right here. Now check this out. Gamboa is going to do a rear hand cover, moving to that lead foot in case a rear hook from Crawford should come. Okay, Gamboa look for his rear cross as Crawford pulls square, looking for this check hook.
Closing seconds of the third round.
Now this is neat. Gamboa's going to get to this lead foot, feint this leaping hook as Crawford pulls square. Now once Gamboa's rear foot lands, he'll throw this rear hook as Crawford looks to time him with his lead. Now Crawford's going to counter with this rear body shot right here. And then Gamboa is going to counter. And then we're going to see some feints. And that's it for round 3.
They exchange shots, but I think Gamboa get the better of it.
All right, here we are. Got round 4 of Gamboa versus Crawford. And now we are in an open stance fight.
Martinez of New Mexico are the official judges. All experienced men. This is round 4. CenturyLink Center.
Okay, Crawford's head's over his lead foot. We'll see Gamboa do a rear foot step up, push off this rear foot for a jab to the body as Crawford pulls to his rear foot.
The hometown of the champion.
Now this is neat. Crawford's looking for his rear straight while Gamboa pushes off this rear foot for a lead hook. Going to catch Crawford. He's going to follow up with a rear cross as Crawford looks for his lead hook. Then we'll get some movement and a little bit of lead hand control.
Terence Crawford. Now let's see if Crawford can make an adjustment from the last.
So Gamboa is going to throw his rear cross as Crawford rolls with it to his lead foot. He's going to counter out this check hook as Gamboa pushes off this lead foot to his rear foot.
2 rounds that may or may not have gone.
All right, Crawford got to his lead foot. He's going to go ahead and catch Gamboa stepping to his lead foot with this jab.
In favor of Gamboa.
Okay, Gamboa looked to get him back with this jab to the body as Crawford pulls square. And note, he has access to this check hook if he wanted it.
They have an our score sheets, but we're...
Now Crawford's head's over that lead foot. He'll throw his rear straight as Gamboa pulls. Then Gamboa's going to go ahead and feint this rear cross right here. Then we'll have some movement and lead hand control.
Official.
So this is a nice sequence. Crawford's going to leap off this lead foot to his rear foot, flashing his lead. Gamboa's going to look to time him with this overhand. As Crawford pulls bladed, he's going to push off this rear foot, looking for his lead counter. All right, Gamboa fold out this jab, head between his lead foot and rear foot, and we're going to see Crawford follow him back as Gamboa pulls, and then he's going to drop. Now, Crawford right here is going to catch Gamboa as Gamboa moves his head to his lead foot. Then we'll get a little bit of movement, lead hand control.
Chops him with the right hand, fighting the southpaw stance.
Yeah, a question.
Okay, Gamboa's going to push off this rear foot, looking for his jab to the body, and we're going to see Crawford pull square, again, looking for that potential check hook.
And that has to be asked in this fight is...
Now Crawford will jab as Gamboa pulls and parries. Then Gamboa is going to go ahead and push off this rear foot for an overhand. We're going to see Crawford pull square, again, looking for that lead counter.
Kind of fighter who comes from a place where fighters are not usually don't usually come from.
So Crawford's going to leap off his lead foot to his rear foot, then follow up with this rear uppercut. Gamboa's going to counter out with a rear hook. Then lead hand control and some feints.
Beat a fighter who comes from a place where a lot of good fighters come from.
All right, Crawford's going to do a rear foot step up, stamp off a jab, then look to double it up.
Irrespective of their individual standing.
So Gamboa has that lead extended. He's going to push off this rear foot for a rear cross to the body as Crawford pulls square. And check out this lead from Crawford.
In the place, you know, Gamboa's been around the block.
Now this is neat. Crawford's going to get to this lead foot, drop his lead hand on top of Gamboa, and then fold out his jab. But let's hone in on Gamboa. His head is between his lead foot and rear foot. And when that jab does come, he's going to pull to his rear foot. Now Crawford's going to get back to this lead foot, look to double it up. But check out the lead hand control from Gamboa with his rear hand ready in case that jab slips through. Now Gamboa's going to push off his rear foot, throws rear cross as Crawford pulls. And check out this little shift from Gamboa.
In a culture that has boxing.
So Crawford's going to get to this lead foot, throw his rear straight as Gamboa pulls. Then Gamboa's going to look for his leaping hook, and we're going to see Crawford try to find his check hook. Then we'll have a tie-up.
Deeply embedded in it in Cuba.
I'll tell you, even low.
All right, Crawford's looking for a break from the ref. Gamboa takes a peek right here, sees the ref staying put. He's going to throw his lead hook. Crawford's going to come up, cover, thinking the rear hand's going to come from Gamboa. Then Gamboa throws his jab. Pendulum from Crawford. And another one.
Crawford trains sometimes as a southpaw, oftentimes as a southpaw. His punches aren't as powerful when he fights in this man.
Okay, this is slick. Crawford's going to jab as Gamboa slips inside, bringing this rear hook with him, catching Crawford. Then we're going to go ahead and get a little bit of movement. And they'll reset right here.
And he's getting hit more. There's that right hand by Gamboa. Terence doesn't look as good boxing as a southpaw.
Now this is sharp by Crawford. Heads over that lead foot. He's going to go ahead and fold out his rear straight, catching Gamboa, who, if you notice, is on his rear foot. He's going to counter back with this rear cross as Crawford pulls square. And again, a bit of movement.
As he does as a right-handed fighter. He thinks that he has a lot more power in his left hand when he fights as a southpaw.
So this is interesting. Crawford and Gamboa's head is toward their lead foot. Gamboa's going to fold out a jab, then rear cross. Now, two things to note. First, Crawford's pulling to his rear foot. Second, that rear cross from Gamboa put him back on his lead foot so he could load and throw this leaping hook. And note the rear foot step back by Crawford. And finally, Crawford's head position is between his lead foot and rear foot. So he has room to pull to his rear foot as Gamboa throws that rear cross.
And that's why he does it. And he gets there.
All right, Crawford will snap off this jab as Gamboa pushes off this lead foot, pulling to his rear foot. Then we'll see some lead hand control from Gamboa.
Yeah, he's susceptible to that right hand of Gamboa every time he switches, Colonel.
Okay, Gamboa throws rear cross as Crawford pulls square. He'll look to counter with his lead rear cross, and we're going to see Gamboa step through, shifting into a southpaw stance, bringing this rear cross with him. Now, Crawford's going to go ahead and counter with his check hook, and we're going to see Gamboa step back into his orthodox stance, bring this hook with him. Now, this is slick. Crawford's going to go to the body right here, and then he's going to pull this rear cross from Gamboa, come back with his jab rear cross, and then look for this lead hook to the body.
Well, he's not switching. He's just fighting left-handed now.
Now Gamboa throws his rear cross as Crawford pulls square, looking for this check hook while Gamboa throws his lead hook. Now right here, it's a race. They're both throwing their rear cross, and Crawford transitions quicker, catching Gamboa.
This is the left hand get through, but did it?
So we've seen this before. Gamboa's going to throw out his rear cross just to get to this lead foot so he can throw his leaping hook, and Crawford's looking to time him coming in. Now this is neat. Gamboa's going to shift this rear foot forward, looking for his rear cross as a southpaw. Then we get a tie-up and a break.
Shake Gamboa. And Boa's on the assault, putting pressure still on the champion.
And he took Crawford's.
All right, Crawford's going to step this lead foot forward as Gamboa looks for his rear cross, and we're going to see Crawford pull square. Then some movement.
Punch really well in there. Crawford landed a solid shot.
Okay, Crawford's going to push off this rear foot, snap off a jab, catching Gamboa. Note this little drop by Gamboa in case the rear cross should follow. Crawford's going to go ahead and get back to this lead foot, snap off another jab, and Gamboa's going to look to counter, but come up short. And then Crawford's going to counter the counter as Gamboa pulls.
And that was a question, too, coming into the fight, Larry, was Gamboa's chin.
Now Crawford will do a rear foot step up, fire off another jab as Gamboa pulls. Now check this out. Crawford right here, he is on his lead foot. Then he moves to his rear foot. Just slick.
It's been a question.
Well, he's been down 6 times in his career.
All right, Gamboa throw a rear cross as Crawford pulls square. A little bit of movement.
But he's always come off the canvas.
All right, Crawford will snap off a jab as Gamboa pulls. Gamboa's going to come back with a lead hook. And then we're going to see Crawford come with his check hook as Gamboa looks for his rear cross. Pendulum by Crawford. Movement. Lots of movement.
2 undefeated fighters.
Identical records, identical knockout percentage.
Okay, Gamboa's going to push off this rear foot, throw a jab to the body as Crawford pulls square. Now Crawford will jab as Gamboa pulls. So this is neat. Gamboa has his lead hand extended. Crawford and Gamboa is going to throw their rear crosses. Then we get a tie-up and a break. And that's it for round 4.
Civilians round 4.
All right, let's run through round 5 of Crawford versus Gamboa.
So the first one I make is go back fighting as a right-handed fighter, but he's going to fight as a southpaw again.
So Crawford will swing this rear foot around, do a rear foot step up, snap off a jab, and note this lead parry from Gamboa. Now Crawford's head's over his lead foot, shoulders square. Now right here, he's going to turn his shoulders bladed, similar to Gamboa. He's going to push off this rear foot, throwing a jab to the body as Gamboa looks for a lead hand down parry. Now Crawford's going to feint high right here, then feint low. Then he's going to commit high as Gamboa pulls. Then he's going to double it up right here.
If he thinks his fighting as a southpaw is confusing Gamboa.
Okay, Gamboa's going to push off this rear foot, throw a lead hook, but let's go ahead and hone in on Crawford. Note, his head is towards his lead foot, shoulders are square, looking for this check hook. Now, right here, Crawford's going to push off this rear foot, throwing a rear cross to the body.
It's not confusing him in the slightest.
I don't think he's trying to confuse Gamboa. I think that when he...
All right, this is neat. Gamboa's going to throw his rear cross to the body as Crawford rolls to that lead foot. Now Gamboa's going to shift his rear foot forward. Note his head's in the left, and now it's on the right, and that's because it's over his new lead foot, putting him as a southpaw. He's going to throw his rear cross. Note Crawford rolled to his rear foot. Now Gamboa's going to follow up the lead hook rear cross, and Crawford's going to roll back to his lead foot. Note that catch, and then roll back to his rear foot, rolling that cross. Super slick.
He's fighting him in his conventional style.
So Gamboa's in a jab as Crawford drops his lead right here. Now Gamboa's following up with the rear cross, and Crawford gets stuck in that lead foot. getting caught with that rear cross. Now Crawford's looking to get on top of Gamboa's lead hand, and then on the next beat, he's going to catch Gamboa with that jab. Then he's going to get to this lead foot, throwing a leaping jab. Some movement.
He just saw that Gamboa had an advantage over him, which solved him, and that he just feels he has to fight him southpaw.
Yet he won the first round, Larry. He's lost the last 3, in my opinion.
Now Gamboa's going to throw a jab rear cross, and we're going to see Crawford pull, then drop. Then he's going to counter with this rear uppercut right here. Gamboa's going to look for his lead hook, and we're going to see Crawford weave to his lead foot, getting under that hook. Crawford's going to go ahead and pull away from this rear cross from Gamboa. Check out how he pulled square. Crawford's going to get back to his lead foot, fire off a jab, and we're going to see Gamboa slip to his lead foot, bringing his rear cross to the body with him. Crawford's going to get to the lead foot, fire off a jab. Then we get this tie-up, a break, and some movement.
So, but that's, you may be right. That's what he's thinking.
Yeah.
He doesn't know he's lost, and he may not have. But I mean, that's the way I see it, anyway.
Well, I have it 2-1 and 1 even. I know officials don't score even rounds, but I do.
Okay, Crawford got to his lead foot. He's going to do a rear foot step up and snap off a jab. A little bit of movement. Lead hand control.
Little welt alongside the right eye of Gamboa.
All right, Gamboa's going to throw his rear cross as Crawford pulls square. He's going to look for his lead counter right here. And then he's going to double it up as Gamboa drops.
He's had that puffy cheek for a couple of rounds now.
So Gamboa's looking for his jab rear cross, but let's hone in on Crawford. His shoulders are square, heads over that lead foot. As that jab comes, Crawford's looking to get him with this check hook. Now, when that rear cross comes, check out this rear hand catch. And this is neat. Now, Crawford's going to throw his rear cross. Gamboa's going to counter on the same side with this rear cross. Now, check this out. Crawford's going to push off this lead foot, pulling square, getting away from that rear cross. Crawford's going to repeat the same pattern, and Gamboa's going to look for that counter. And then we have a tie-up. And a break. More lead hand control from Gamboa. Movement from Crawford.
Good little right hand hook by Crawford.
Crawford walks him back on his heels. Gamboa doesn't like it. Remember, Terence said when he fights.
Now Crawford's going to get to this lead foot, and we're going to see Gamboa time him with this rear cross. And we're going to see Crawford pull, then drop. Look for this rear uppercut as Gamboa's weaving to his rear foot. And then Gamboa's going to counter out with this rear cross. More lead hand control from Gamboa.
As a southpaw, he feels like he has more power with his left, but he's not landing many lefts.
Okay, Crawford's going to push off this rear foot, fire off a jab as Gamboa pulls. Then he's going to follow up with a rear cross, and we're going to see Gamboa look to roll to his lead foot. Lead hand control and some feints.
I think Terence needs to go back to using the jab a little bit more. Keeping that distance.
All right, Crawford's back at it. He's going to push off this rear foot, snap off a jab, catching Gamboa and pushing him to his rear foot right here. Then he's going to double it up, and we're going to see Gamboa drop. Then they're going to reset.
Now he's trying to figure this guy out. He's not touching him when he's jabbing as a southpaw.
So Gamboa's throwing his rear cross, lead hook, as Crawford catches that cross towards his lead foot. Then he's going to roll away from the hook to his rear foot. Then we're going to see that one more time. Rear cross. Crawford's catching it towards that lead foot.
as this kid Gamboa is very quick on his feet and with his hands.
Now Gamboa is pushing off this rear foot to throw a lead hook, but let's hone in on Crawford. He's going to go ahead and pull square right here. Then Gamboa's going to follow up with this rear cross as Crawford throws his check hook. Crawford's going to throw a lead hook to the body right here. Then rear cross. And here comes the count. 7, 8, 9. Okay, back at it.
Oh, he hurt him with the right hand.
Yeah, he staggered with the left hand. He hurt him with the right, and the left hand dropped it. So how about that?
And the roof is about to blow in this place, Colonel.
Gamboa got a little too...
Okay, Gamboa throws rear cross as Crawford pulls, looking to counter with his rear cross, but he's going to get caught by Gamboa's lead. Same setup, Gamboa's going to throw his rear cross, Crawford's going to pull square, then he's going to drop under the lead from Gamboa. Crawford will snap off his jab right here.
reckless.
But you said he was going to have to at some stage, and he's real reckless out, but his legs aren't there.
All right, I like this. Gamboa's going to throw another rear cross, but we're going to see Crawford change it up. Rather than pulling square and throwing a check hook, he decides to pull bladed and counter with a rear cross. Little pendulum by Crawford. Hook to the body. Gamboa looks for the same side counter. They'll time each other right here. Gamboa's going with his rear cross. Crawford's looking for that lead hook to the body. Then they're going to switch. Gamboa's going to look for his lead hook. Crawford looking for his rear cross. Then they're going to repeat the same patterns. Look to time each other right here. Tie up, break. Tie up, break.
Terence touches him up with a pretty good jab. Whacks him with the left hand. Downstairs, loads up with the right hand.
Gamboa is fighting back valiantly, but is he hurt, as you say?
He is hurt. Right.
So Gamboa's going to throw his rear cross as Crawford throws this lead hook to the body right here. Gamboa's going to follow up with a lead hook as Crawford rolls with it to his lead foot. Crawford's going to look for his rear hook. Gamboa will counter with his rear cross, then lead hook. And we're going to see Crawford roll to that lead foot right there. Crawford will step to his lead foot, looking for that lead hook to the body. And then Gamboa is going to throw his rear cross.
Hang on. Terence imposing his will on Gamboa right now. Gamboa is staggering.
Now they'll both pendulum to the left. Crawford's going to throw his rear cross, catching Gamboa as he gets stuck on this lead foot. Now let's hone in on Crawford. He's going to stay on this lead foot, throw a rear straight right there. He's going to follow up the lead hook to the body here. Pendulum. He's going to do an uppercut again or lead hook to the body. Now he's square. He's going to throw a left hook, right hook, another rear cross, and that's it for round 5.
Slides to his right, nail with another right hand. He's ready to go again, but we're out of time in the 5th round. Nails him again. He's back on his heels. Listen to the crowd.
All right, round 6 of Crawford versus Gamboa. Crawford's coming in orthodox.
Where his body and his legs are under him.
I don't believe a guy can recover from the kind of damage he was experiencing.
Okay, Crawford's going to push off this rear foot, throw his lead hook, rear cross, but let's zero in on Gamboa. He's going to look to parry what he thinks is a jab. Then he's going to drop under that rear cross. Then we have a tie-up and a break.
At the end of the 5th round, we'll see.
Well, not the very least with that knockdown, that evens out the fight, I think, on our cards, right?
Now, Crawford's going to step his lead foot out. Once he lands, he's going to throw his rear straight. Now, this is super interesting. Crawford's going to shift his rear foot forward, putting him into a southpaw stance. So, orthodox, southpaw. Gamboa looks to counter with his lead, and here's the neat part. Crawford now has his check hook available to him. Gamboa's going to follow him back with this rear cross. Crawford's going to counter with a rear cross to the body as Gamboa looks to time him with his lead cross counter. Great sequence by Crawford.
Colonel at 47 all.
Yeah, at the very least. But that's the least important thing.
So Crawford's back in the orthodox. Gamboa's going to throw his rear cross while Crawford looks for this check hook, then rear uppercut. Gamboa counter with his lead.
Right now, the thing is, can he continue the pace?
All right, Crawford's heads over his lead foot. Gamboa's going to throw his rear cross as Crawford pulls to his rear foot, bringing this hook with him. Then he's going to follow up with a rear uppercut. Now we're going to see the same action. Gamboa's going to throw this rear cross, and we're going to see Crawford use his lead hand to control Gamboa. Then we get some movement.
He's fighting as a right-handed fighter now, and he continues to hurt Gamboa. Gamboa's legs aren't there at all.
But he's making.
Okay, this is a good view. Crawford's weight is on his rear foot. Then he's going to shift his head over his lead foot right here. He's going to push off his rear foot, snapping off a rear straight. Then he's going to bob down, getting under the jab, rear cross from Gamboa. Crawford's going to go ahead and reset as a southpaw.
Going to stand to his credit.
I still expect.
Now Crawford's going to move his head over his lead foot. He's going to load, throw his leaping hook as Gamboa drops, looking for this rear uppercut. Then we get a tie-up. Then break. Lead hand control from Gamboa.
Terence to be cautious in a way and be patient. I don't expect him to get out of his style.
Is Terence back as a southpaw again?
Well, you and I have discussed this.
So Gamboa is going to throw his rear cross, but let's zero in on Crawford. His head's over his lead foot. He's going to push off the toes of his lead foot and pull square. Then Gamboa is going to get back to this lead foot to throw a leaping hook as Crawford looks to catch him with his check hook. Then Gamboa is going to throw left, right, left, right. Crawford's going to go ahead and counter with this lead hook to the body. And then we're going to see Gamboa counter with a lead hook to the head. Now, this is neat. Gamboa just threw his rear cross. Crawford's bobbing down over this lead foot, which allows him to lift his rear foot and step forward. We have a tie-up. Then a break. And reset in the open stance.
For stuff ad nauseum, but he made it work for him.
Yes, he did. And as Gamboa, who was down for the 7th time in his career in the 5th round, his legs aren't 100% just yet.
All right, Gamboa's heads towards his lead foot. He's going to push off his rear foot, snap off a jab, then follow up with the rear cross as Crawford looks for this check hook. Crawford's going to go ahead and follow up with a rear uppercut. And then Gamboa is going to throw a same side counter. And then we get some movement.
Like Gamboa is throwing caution to the wind. He's trying to nail this guy.
Yeah, he's showing us.
Okay, Crawford's head's between his lead foot and rear foot, and now it's over his lead foot. And he's going to go ahead and fold out a rear straight. And again, check this out. Lead foot, rear foot. Just love it.
He's
what he's made of.
Yeah, he's a fighter.
Now Crawford's going to go up top as Gamboa looks to time him going to the body. Then Crawford's going to catch Gamboa with his jab and some movement.
Whether he can weather this kid or not, he is showing us.
So Crawford's going to do a rear foot step up and catch Gamboa with another jab as Gamboa is looking for this rear cross. Gamboa is going to throw a rear cross to the body as Crawford looks for a check hook right here. And then Gamboa is going to follow up with a lead hook, and we're going to see Crawford drop. And then Crawford's going to go ahead and throw a rear cross right here as Gamboa pulled, and then it's going to counter with his own cross. We get a tie-up. And a break.
He's got some.
He got cracked by a good.
You don't get to be as good as him over such a long period of time with not having a lot of fortitude.
Well, he's got that for sure.
All right, this is neat. Instead of stepping towards Gamboa, Crawford will step his lead leg out to the right, throwing this rear straight, which allows him to pendulum in that direction, bring his rear leg with him.
His leg's still out there.
Okay, Crawford will fire off a jab as Gamboa pulls. We'll see that one more time. Now Gamboa is going to throw rear cross, and we're going to see Crawford catch it on his lead foot right here. And then he's going to pull square away from this lead hook.
And we're almost 2 minutes into this 6th round.
Very flat-footed. I was just going to say that, Colonel. Still looking a little shaky.
Now we'll see some jab games. Crawford will jab as Gamboa pulls square. Then he's going to look for his lead counter. And then counter, Crawford's going to look to counter the counter with this check hook.
Kind of walks forward with heavy feet.
He's not just looking shaky, he is shaky.
So Crawford will jab, pushing Gamboa to his rear foot. Then he'll go over the top right here, pushing him back to that rear foot again.
Christina. And I don't think Terence realizes that he's still in trouble.
All right, Gamboa throws rear cross, and check out how Crawford catches it on his lead foot.
He gets up on his toes a little bit and bounces around. Almost.
Okay, Crawford's going to step to this lead foot, snap off a jab, but we'll see Gamboa time that lead foot with an overhand.
His lefty buckled underneath him.
Now Crawford will throw his rear straight as Gamboa pulls. Gamboa's going to look for his rear cross, and we're going to see Crawford pull. Crawford will snap off a jab again, and then we're going to see a rear cross to the body, and check out how Crawford defends it on his lead foot.
Gamboa. Gamboa gets there with another straight left hand that time.
So Crawford will jab as Gamboa slips to this lead foot. Crawford will double it up, and we're going to see Gamboa pull. And then he's going to triple it up back to that lead foot. And then here comes the fourth jab, and we're going to see Gamboa weave to his rear foot. So let's just go ahead and hone in on Gamboa. He'll pull. Pull again. Pull, drop. Pull.
25 seconds to go in the round. Crawford boxing nicely as a southpaw.
All right, Crawford will leap off his lead foot, throw his jab as Gamboa looks to time him with this overhand. Crawford's going to go ahead and push off this rear foot, throw a rear cross to the body. We get some movement and lead hand control.
Now.
Okay, Gamboa's lead hand is extended. He'll throw a rear cross to the body as Crawford rolls to his lead foot, catching it. Gamboa's going to throw his lead hook, and we're going to see Crawford drop underneath it. Gamboa's going to throw this lead hook to the body. Crawford's going to counter up top. They're going to go ahead and trade rear hands. Gamboa up top. Gamboa's going to throw his rear cross as Crawford gets in that check hook. And that's it for round 6.
Closing seconds now. This is the 6th round. The bell ends the 6th. Another round for...
All right, back at it. Round 7 of Crawford versus Gamboa.
Out in front in the fight now. The legs appear to be back of Yuriorkis Gamboa.
Okay, Crawford will do a rear foot step up, snap off a jab as Gamboa pulls. Then lots of lead hand control from Gamboa.
Crawford pointing out to the ref that it's slippery. There are a few pieces of ice still on the mat there, but refs.
Now right here, Crawford's going to time Gamboa getting to this lead foot. He's going to push off his rear foot, fire off a jab. Then he's going to double it up.
Let's fight on.
So Gamboa's lead hand is extended. He's going to push off this rear foot, throw a throwaway hook, looking for this rear cross. But let's hone in on Crawford. Heads toward that lead foot. Shoulders are square. He'll catch Gamboa coming in with his check hook as he pulls to his rear foot. Crawford's going to get back to this lead foot, fire off a jab. And then we're going to see Gamboa follow him back with this rear cross to the body. One more jab by Crawford. Then we get some movement, a little bit of lead hand control.
Crawford continues to fight as a southpaw. When he got Gamboa in trouble at Strange, he went back to fighting as an orthodox fighter.
All right, so they're looking to time each other, both pushing off their rear foot. Crawford's going to go up top while Gamboa goes to the body. Gamboa's going to go back to that lead hand control. Low guard.
And they've been fighting southpaw ever since. As Gamboa just slipped on a piece of that ice.
Okay, Gamboa's flashing his lead. He's going to feint his rear cross as Crawford pulls square. Crawford's going to come back with this lead counter. Now, check this out. Gamboa and Crawford are square, heads toward this lead foot. Crawford's going to throw out a rear straight as Gamboa looks for that lead counter to the body. Then we get a bit of movement.
Well, also, sometimes you see that the advertisements on the mat can be slippier.
Now, I like this idea. Gamboa has his lead foot extended. Crawford's in his high guard. Gamboa's going to push off his rear foot, getting in between Crawford's guard. Then Crawford's going to pull. And the thought is Crawford isn't overly concerned with that lead other than blinding his vision. The concern would be Gamboa's next weight transition, and I'll explain that idea right here. So right now, Crawford's looking to come over the top with his jab, but let's zero in on Gamboa. His lead hand is extended, weight is on that rear foot, and here's the concern realized, because he's going to move his weight from his rear foot to his lead foot with a rear cross.
Slippery.
Well, the thing is, for some reason,
So with that said, Gamboa has his lead hand extended again. He's going to bring his weight forward with a rear overhand. But the problem for Gamboa is the fact that Crawford is going to do the exact opposite. He's going to bring his weight from his lead foot to his rear foot with this check hook. Then they're going to go ahead and switch roles with a slight variation. Crawford's going to bring his weight to his lead foot with a rear hook, while we see Gamboa pull his weight to his rear foot, then immediately drive it right back with a rear cross. Then we see Crawford bob down over this lead foot. We get a tie-up, a break, jab, then some movement.
Cuban corner people love to pour water down a guy's shorts, so he's dripping water all over the place. And of course, once that gets, there's actually a puddle on the Ducati sign in the center of the ring, and that's where they're slipping.
All right, here's a neat idea from Crawford. He's going to snap off his jab. Gamboa's going to look to follow him back with his lead. And here's the neat part. Crawford has a check hook built into the sequence. Then Gamboa's going to throw his rear overhand. We're going to see Crawford catch that on his lead foot. Then we're going to get a counter lead from Crawford. Rear straight. Now Gamboa's going to throw his overhand. We're going to see Crawford pull right here. And then we're going to see Crawford jab as Gamboa drops. Then some feints.
Gamboa's shorts drenched. Right now they're thoroughly dripping all over the middle.
It looks like a bathing suit.
It's serious.
Well, which suggests that they've been doing everything possible
To revive him.
to revive him, correct.
As they should.
Okay, Crawford will fire off his jab, but let's check out Gamboa here. His lead hand is low. Watch how he flares his elbow once that jab comes in. He'll follow him back with that lead. We get some movement and some feints.
Crawford trying to pot shot him and catch him. The right hand has been effective.
Now this is pretty cool. Crawford will jab and we'll see Gamboa pull, follow him back with his lead, catching him with his jab. All right, now I like this part. Gamboa's going to throw his rear cross, but Crawford knows the next sequence in the pattern. He'll drop, getting under that rear cross. Love it. Oh, and check out this little hold by Gamboa right here. Then they're going to reset.
Gamboa continues to step on each other's front feet. Gamboa's doing a lot of slipping, and it's his own corner's own fault because...
So this is a change from Crawford. Head is over that lead foot. He'll throw a leaping lead uppercut, rear straight. And this goes into Crawford's IQ because it's his best option to split Gamboa's high guard. Now, Crawford does have other options. He could throw a leaping cross, leaping hook, roll out a rear straight, or maybe do a rear foot step off and snap off a jab. Now, let's zero in on Gamboa and talk about his brilliance. Gamboa knows the hole in the high guard, so check out this lead hand down parry right here. And something to be aware of, that lead hand down parry pushes Gamboa's weight to his rear foot. He's going to push off his rear foot, moving his head over his lead foot, slipping inside that rear straight from Crawford. Then he's going to look for his rear hand counter. And we have some movement.
We describe his trunks are a bathing suit right now. They're dripping that much, folks.
All right, Crawford looks to come over the top of his lead as Gamboa pulls. Same pattern. Gamboa will look to throw his overhand as Crawford pulls bladed. And then Crawford's going to jab right here, and we're going to see Gamboa drop.
And he's distracted by it because he keeps looking down.
Okay, Crawford will do a rear foot step up, snap off a jab as Gamboa slips to his lead foot. Crawford's going to follow up with a rear cross, and we're going to see Gamboa drop. Then a little bit of walking. Now Gamboa's lead hand is extended. He's going to push off his rear foot, throwing a rear cross as Crawford pulls square. And check out this nifty little shift by Gamboa. He'll step back through, doing the same pattern, but to the body. Crawford's going to look for his lead counter. Then Crawford's going to break this sequence, catching Gamboa with this jab. Gamboa's going to throw a lead hook, rear cross as Crawford looks for his check hook. Crawford's going to come back with a jab, rear cross to the body. Gamboa's in a double jab. And then Crawford's looking for that lead counter.
Gamboa's legs are totally back, so whatever they...
So Gamboa push off his rear foot, throwing a rear cross as Crawford bobs down over this lead foot. Crawford will pendulum, throw a rear cross to the body.
Down in the corner, he's revived. And as I say that, he gets whacked.
All right, Crawford will snap off his jab, catching Gamboa. Gamboa's going to look for his leaping hook as Crawford pulls square. Then on the very next beat, Crawford will throw his check hook as Gamboa looks for his rear cross to the body. Gamboa's going to go ahead and post right here. Crawford's going to throw the rear cross to the body. Then Gamboa's going to look for his rear counter as Crawford pulls square. Crawford will catch Gamboa with his lead, then check hook. Then they're going to check with the ref and reset.
Well, as you pointed out, Colonel, he's been looking down, and when he looked down, Crawford popped him.
Distracted by the wet shorts.
Okay, Crawford will push off his rear foot, fire off a jab. Then we'll see that again. Gamboa is going to look for the body right here. Then lots of movement.
And his footing on the canvas because he moves a lot. He bounces around, he slides left to right, he fights up on his toes all the time.
Compared to the early round.
Now Gamboa's going to push off this rear foot, throw a rear cross to the body as Crawford pulls square. Crawford's going to go ahead and swing his rear foot around, snap off a jab. We're going to see Gamboa pull and then come back with his lead. Crawford's going to go ahead and throw a rear cross right here. Then he's going to go ahead and weave to his rear foot, throw another rear cross to the body, look for his lead hook, and that will do it for round 7.
Gamboa looks like he's going through motions now. Not as serious and as alive.
Round 8, Crawford and Gamboa.
Ears.
Still throwing punches.
Okay, Gamboa's going to get to this lead foot, fold out his jab, and we're going to see Crawford catch that first one. Now, Gamboa is doubling it up, but watch Crawford. He's going to look to catch and then counter.
All right, here we go to round number 8, the Colonel Bond Stardom.
Now, Gamboa's going to feint his folding jab, then look to throw his lead hook, but Crawford had a similar idea, but without the feint. Then we're going to have Gamboa looking for lead hand control again, as they're both looking to reset.
Larry Merchant, Christina Poncher, watching Top Rank Boxing. We're at the CenturyLink Center in Omaha, Nebraska. The home of the guy in the black trunks, Terence Crawford.
So Gamboa's going to feint high, then go to the body with his lead as Crawford pulls. Now this time he's going to show high, bring his rear cross, but this rear cross is just to get to this lead foot so he could throw a leaping jab. He's going to follow up with the rear cross, and we're going to see Crawford drop. Crawford's going to go ahead and shift this rear foot back, putting him in an orthodox stance so he could throw this rear uppercut as Gamboa is going to the body with his lead. Gamboa's going to continue right, left, and then Crawford's going to bob down over this lead foot. We have a tie-up and a break.
You know, Crawford is ambidextrous. I mean, his turning southpaw is not a tactic for a moment to try to confuse his opponent.
No, he trains to do that. And that's
All right, Gamboa's going to flash his lead, push off his rear foot, throwing it overhand, and Crawford's going to look to time him coming in. Then Gamboa's going to push off that rear foot again. He's going to feint his hook, and then Crawford is going to let his check hook loose. Little lead hand control and some movement.
different from what I talk about all the time, and he's successful at it. I mean, he got Gamboa in trouble when he was fighting as a southpaw.
All right, Crawford will snap off his jab as Gamboa parries and then pulls. More movement. And some more lead hand control. Both are looking to reset.
It just struck me funny that he turned back right-handed when he was in the process of pummeling him. But that's okay. If a guy trains that way, that's what. And as you said, the guy is ambidextrous. It's different from a guy using it for any other.
Now Crawford's going to throw a leaping jab as Gamboa parries. Then Crawford's going to push off this rear foot, snap off a jab, catching Gamboa. Then we're going to get this little rear foot step up from Crawford. Again, snapping off a jab, and then check out this rear end catch by Gamboa and the little drop. Crawford's going to follow up with a jab, rear cross, and we're going to see Gamboa parry it to the inside. Again, some movement. Lead hand control, looking to reset.
Round 8 action continues. Slowed down just a bit in terms of the amount of punches being landed by either fighter.
Gamboa has stopped being aggressive.
Yeah, I don't think he's thrown a punch this round, Larry.
So Gamboa's going to push off that rear foot, throwing a rear cross to the body, and we're going to see Crawford catch it over his lead foot. Now here comes another rear foot step up by Crawford. Gamboa's going to pull that jab, looking to counter with his hook, and then Crawford's going to counter the counter with his own check hook.
You know, it's one punch at a time.
All right, Crawford's going to go over the top with his jab, and we're going to see Gamboa counter with his rear cross as Crawford pulls square. Crawford's going to get back to this lead foot, fire off a jab, and we're going to see Gamboa parry it right here, and then fold out his own jab. Crawford's going to pull, counter back with his lead. Then Crawford's going to throw his rear straight as Gamboa drops. And then we get some high guard.
Hoping something happened and making something happen.
Okay, so Gamboa is going to push off this rear foot, throw a rear hook, and we're going to see Crawford catch it on his lead foot. Crawford will fold out a couple jabs, rear straight. Now, Gamboa is going to come out of his high guard, push off this rear foot for a lead hook, and we're going to see Crawford look for his check hook. Gamboa is going to come back with that jab rear cross. We saw Crawford drop. Now, right here, since his weight is over his rear foot, Crawford has the ability to step with his lead foot back as Gamboa looks to double up with his rear hand.
But you can't count him out. Crawford's never been in with somebody like this, and until he does it, he hasn't done it.
Now Gamboa's going to fold out his jab. Then he's going to look for another one, and Crawford's going to push off his rear foot with a lead hook, and then he's going to follow up with a rear uppercut. Then Gamboa's going to flash his lead right here, throw the rear cross to the body as Crawford catches it on his lead foot. Some movement.
Yeah, and by the way, with all that said, there's only 2 points in my score sheet separating the two fighters. And the whole difference in the fight is the knockdown. Back in the 5th round.
So this is interesting. Crawford's going to feint the hook, throw the jab. But Gamboa is looking for first contact. He pushed off his rear foot, threw a rear cross to the body. We'll have a tie-up. Now right here, Gamboa is looking for a lead hook off the break.
So while the crowd in attendance is going virtually nuts, I don't know how far.
All right, Gamboa's going to throw his jab, rear cross, and Crawford's going to catch both on his lead foot. Gamboa's going to throw a rear hook to the body, and Crawford's going to roll to his lead foot. Then we have a little bit of a tie-up. Ooh, hit off the break.
Far ahead Crawford really is on the score sheets. He's ahead.
I don't know if there's a home fit, if there's necessarily going to be a hometown advantage, but there shouldn't be a hometown disadvantage.
Okay, Gamboa's going to throw his rear overhand, but let's hone in on Crawford. He's going to move all his weight to this lead foot, catching it there. And this is neat. Crawford's going to get back to this lead foot, throw out his rear straight as Gamboa is throwing his rear overhand. And check this out. Crawford bobbed down over that lead foot. He's going to throw a lead hook to the body and then catch the counter hook from Gamboa. Gamboa is chasing him down. He's going to throw his rear cross, lead hook, rear uppercut. And then they're going to time each other. Crawford's going to go to the body, Gamboa to the head. Crawford's going to pull that rear cross from Gamboa, throw a rear uppercut. Gamboa parries, throw this rear cross, and then Crawford's going to catch him with this rear straight. He's going to pull the counter, again, catch him with this check hook, then rear hook. Down he goes. We get a count from the ref. Back at it.
He'll get credit for everything he does at the very least.
Oh, here's Gamboa in the process of landing some shots. He dropped him, hit him with the right hand and the left hand, and the knee went down.
As soon as Gamboa got offensive, Crawford dropped him.
Now Crawford's going to throw a lead hook to the body. He's going to catch this hook from Gamboa on his lead foot.
Again.
You said that he'd take risk, and he had to take risk, and it hurt him.
So Crawford's going to do a rear foot step up, throw his lead hook, and Gamboa is looking for his catch and counter. Crawford's going to go ahead and follow up with that rear cross. We see Gamboa pull. Gamboa's going to throw his rear cross, and Crawford's going to catch that on his lead foot, and then he's going to counter out with his lead hook. He goes to the body right here. Crawford's going to go ahead and bob down under the counter hook from Gamboa, and then he's going to follow him back with this rear cross.
So Gamboa has been down twice in the fight now, but that changes the whole.
All right, Gamboa's going to get to this lead foot, throw a jab, rear cross, and we're going to see Crawford slip in over his lead foot, throw a lead hook to the body. Then right here, Gamboa's going to control the back of Crawford's head.
Complexion of the fight right now, because Gamboa is still on his feet.
Okay, Gamboa's going to throw his rear overhand, but let's hone in on Crawford. He's going to catch that on his lead foot, and then he's going to counter out with his hook, follow up with a rear uppercut, and then another lead hook, rear hook. Now Gamboa's going to come back with his jab, rear cross, hook, and then rights and lefts. Now right here, Crawford is sitting on that lead foot. He's going to counter out with a lead hook, rear hook. And then we're going to see Gamboa drop after this last shot from Crawford. And that will do it for round 8.
Not a lot of time left in this 8th round. There he is again. And he get hurt again as Gamboa was...
Alrighty, here we go. Round 9 of Crawford versus Gamboa.
Crawford went down in the 5th, but here we go to the 9th.
So Gamboa's going to flash his lead, throw his rear cross to the body, then go up top with a hook. But let's zero in on Crawford. He's going to catch that rear cross on that lead foot right there. Gamboa's going to come up with that hook, and Crawford stays in that same position on his lead foot, catching it.
Well, Gamboa has to know now.
Okay, this is neat. Gamboa's in his high guard. Crawford's going to go ahead and fold out a jab, and that's going to spring Gamboa's trap with this lead hook. Now, Crawford pulled, and then he's looking to counter with his own check hook. Little pendulum by Crawford.
That he's got to make something happen.
Well, he's got to throw.
Now, Gamboa's looking to set his trap again, but this time Crawford's going to push off his rear foot, throw a lead hook going around Gamboa's catch, and counter trap.
All caution to win. If he gets...
All right, Gamboa's going to throw his rear overhand, and we're going to see Crawford bob down over his lead foot. Then we get a tie-up and a break.
Stopped, he gets stopped, but he can't win without, as you say, taking a lot of risk now.
So they'll both throw their lead hooks, and then Gamboa is going to follow up with a rear cross.
Knocked down twice. He knows he's behind, no matter what happened in the third.
Okay, Gamboa's back in that high guard. Crawford's going to go ahead and fold out a double jab. Now, when this second jab hits, Gamboa's going to spring the trap, throwing his counter jab, and then Crawford's going to counter the counter and bring his rear cross with him.
Third, fourth, and fifth round. Actually, the second, third, and fourth.
Right hand landed.
Now, Gamboa's back in his high guard, so check this out. Crawford's going to use his jab to clear Gamboa's rear hand. Then he's going to follow up with a rear uppercut, lead hook. Gamboa's going to throw a shifting rear cross as Crawford pulls to his rear foot and counters with this rear uppercut. Gamboa's going to throw a rear cross as a southpaw. We're going to see Crawford pull. Then right here, Gamboa's going to throw his jab rear cross, catching Crawford. He's going to start chasing him down. He'll throw his lead hook rear cross as Crawford gets off his check hook. Then we have a tie-up and a break.
And now Crawford's gone back to conventional. He lands an uppercut.
Solid uppercut. Crawford looks a little off balance right now.
Yeah.
Did he get hit by something in there?
No, he just switched. There, he did.
All right, Gamboa's lead is extended. He's going to throw his rear cross, but let's hone in on Crawford. His head's over that lead foot. He's going to parry that rear cross, and note his shoulders are square, weight is toward that lead foot. He'll look to time Gamboa's lead cross with his own check hook. Then we get a tie-up, a break, and then lead hand control.
Switch in mid-course because that right hook from the left-handed position has been a very imposing weapon for him.
I don't know, Colonel. Terrence's leg.
So we have Gamboa's lead hand extended again. He's going to push off this rear foot, throw a rear cross as Crawford drops. Then we'll have a tie-up. And a break.
Look a little wobbly right now. They do look a little.
I agree with you, Christina.
Yeah.
I think he get hit by something.
I would have to.
And he might have been caught in the switch, and that can happen no matter how skilled you are at changing.
Well,
Okay, this is cool. Gamboa's going to push off his rear foot, throw a rear cross to the body as Crawford pulls square. Gamboa's going to follow up with a lead hook while Crawford's going to catch him with his check hook, then drop under Gamboa's rear cross. Then right here, they're both going to look for their rear uppercuts. Push off.
I'm not sure what happened either, but when he went back to the corner after the last round, he looked a little...
Now Crawford's in a jab as Gamboa pushes off this rear foot to throw his lead hook. Gamboa's going to throw a rear cross. We're going to see Crawford pull square. Then he's going to counter with his jab rear cross. And then drop under Gamboa's lead. Then we get another tie-up. A break. And they'll reset.
Higher to me. The intensity of this fight, again, a young fighter who hasn't experienced it before and whose emotions must be running very high, can take a lot out of you.
All right, Gamboa's going to throw his rear cross. Little pendulum. Crawford's going to go ahead and look for his rear uppercut. Then we get a tie-up and a break. Warning from the ref. And reset.
You see if he has the composure, the skill, the will.
His legs, Larry, don't look to me like they look. And he makes a big mistake by turning his back. He's lucky he wasn't clubbed behind the head.
So Gamboa's in a pendulum, flashes lead, throws rear cross as Crawford pulls square, looks for his counter lead. Then he's going to drop under Gamboa's rear cross. Again, another tie-up. And break.
Because Gamboa is a fighter. He's been down twice in the fight. And it's my belief that he...
Okay, Crawford's going to throw his rear cross as Gamboa drops. Then we have a scramble. Crawford's going to catch Gamboa with his lead. Follow up with a check hook as Gamboa looks for his rear cross.
Terence Crawford at some stage in this ninth round.
Now Gamboa's going to throw his rear cross as Crawford pulls square. He's going to counter with his lead rear cross. We're going to see Gamboa drop and then weave to this lead foot, getting under Crawford's lead. He's going to get caught, though, by this rear hook. Then we're going to repeat. Gamboa's going to throw his rear cross, and we're going to see this check hook from Crawford. He's going to drop under that lead, counter with this rear uppercut, and then he's going to catch this rear cross from Gamboa.
And Crawford cracked him again.
All right, Crawford's going to step to his lead foot, throw his rear cross as Gamboa pulls. Gamboa's going to fire out his jab. We're going to see Crawford pull right here. He's going to throw his rear uppercut, lead hook. Then he's going to double it up. And down goes Gamboa. We get the count. And back at it.
It's straightened out the right leg of Gamboa. He drops it again. That's a hard knockdown that time with the left hook. So if Gamboa is tough and Crawford would hurt, how about that? 27, 26 seconds. He still has time to finish him off. 22 seconds, he's back at him. Gamboa is totally out on his feet.
So Gamboa's going to throw his jab rear cross, but let's zero in on Crawford. He's going to look to counter with a rear uppercut. Then he's going to pull square, getting off his check hook, rear cross. He'll get caught with that lead hook, get caught with that rear hook while he's throwing his check hook. And then this is where he catches him with the rear uppercut. And this fight is a wrap.
Can Crawford catch him one more time? There's no quitting Gamboa. He keeps battling, falling forward. Uppercut, drops him again. It's all over.